I do not want men to dye their hair to try to make them look younger. I did it once, it doesn't work. Also, I like women to cover their hair. Can you think of a good reason to overeat? Should your neighbor care about your and his feet? I'm trying to imply that foot washing thing that was so popular in the New Testament. Is the apple of God's eye a word spoken by him? Who paid for Joseph Mengele's sinful experimental torture of twins during their version of the MK Ultra version of World War II? Somehow we all were trained to behave this way, the way you're acting now, the way I'm acting now, more the way the world is acting now, trained to go slow, expected to status quo. There was a time people had the light and the cloud pillars as they walked in the wilderness. Their children wanted a powerful human king instead of the law that was provided for them in that wilderness. That's a mistake we're still living with today. In a soon tomorrow, a judgment will be seen as inevitable as those as the reminders I've just given you to people. Now, so the message above, what I basically was, and what the title is, this is a message to the people who are a little bit different. Maybe you didn't teach your children about Santa Claus. You were going to say, I'm not going to ever let my children think there was a Santa Claus. Good for you. You did that, I'm assuming, out of principle. What about the Trinity? You've kind of forced that on your children. It was forced on me. It's forced on everybody, even if they don't accept the Lord. They have to know, to be a true Christian, you have to believe the Trinity. I'm wondering, that's a type of training. They have us right where they want us. Thumbnail also, I think it looked like fluoride something, right? Can there be any arguments? They are doing this to us. I'm going to try to do my best to. Well, we know why Satan is evil. Their tender mercies is what, evil. Evil. Their tender mercies are evil. There's a video statement. I know I have some of these things pulled up. It was the CIA's cocaine. It always has been the CIA. This is 1993. They were admitting to something that happened 10 years earlier. And then saying it wasn't that big of a deal. It's all taken care of now. No, it's not. It was done on purpose. They're still making money running the drugs. You really, they didn't release the Epstein file. They didn't do anything. They didn't ban the fluoride. You know it's bad. They have it in your children's water. And this COVID stuff, this came out today. I was watching this very important man's website talking, this SARS-CoV-2 was manufactured to do exactly what it's doing. I've got a couple of these. DARPA rejected the proposal. They were going to use Defense Advanced Research, but they decided ultimately choosing 5 others so as for its preempt initiative. This is 2018. COVID happened in 2019. I think I highlighted here. We're going to look at numerous former students of their parents have filed lawsuits against WASP It's personnel in individual schools. 2005, a lawsuit filed in California on behalf of more than 20 plaintiffs were dismissed because the judge found no jurisdiction. The WWASP, abuse, torture, a Christian will straighten your children out for you. Do you ever hear about WWASP? Denied access to toilets, forced to eat their own vomit, chained in dog cages, emotionally and sexually abused in the name of my kids aren't acting Christian enough. DARPA. DARPA refused it. They got us right where they want us. Let's see, struggles with the Rosicrucians, strange inheritance. These excursions into politics naturally cause serious divisions, not only between rival chapters of Freemasons, but also between the Masons and other organizations more or less closely associated with the Freemasons, at least in the minds of the public. This was the case in Cameroon, where the Masons and the Rosicrucians apparently became embroiled in a power for struggle. I think things are falling apart inside their world. They got a little highlighted part here. I should read it. Unless there are some other personal links which unite the grand masters of them, these are friendships that are easy to or difficult to justify in the eyes of the people massacred. These Freemasons are killing people. And the people that are presidents in Africa, Europe, South America, all go through the Freemasons. In Algeria in 1864, Algeria, you got to be a Freemason. He knows what's happening in the local villages. The Mason was responsible for the abolition of slavery, explains the high incidence of Masonry in the West Indies. Its influence is even to be found in voodoo, where Masonic signs have sometimes, always, I thought, been incorporated into the iconography of the cult, particularly in Haiti, where the most common visions of the skeleton man in blackface or whiteface, James Bond type stuff. More Africa, Singhalese, French African Freemasons of the Grand Lodge, uh, they're all Masons, as were his predecessor, President Omar Bongo. I looked a lot of these people up. Grand Orient in France. If you're going to be put in power, since the short season, you're going to be a Freemason. I'm not saying Shaquille O'Neal is a Freemason because he was good at basketball. It's something along those lines, though. It was a plan. European import Freemasonry is remarkably well spread in English speaking Africa and in the Latin America, South America, the whole continent. There's a Central America. Okay, we got those covered the other night. Not much on my algorithm, except it's the day after Thanksgiving. It's the same thing. They want to just keep selling me the same thing. But we're first off, we're going to look at there is that WASP. I found out that they had a whole list, but the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools started in Utah, umbrella organization of the troubled teen industry. We'll look at that. Troubled teens acting out. You're getting horny all the time because they're watching the TV, I guess. Light them up for the nonprofit. They even have a teen escort service. It's not what you think. Well, maybe. I don't know. But there are companies that assist in transporting teenagers from their homes in various facilities in the troubled teen industry. Such businesses typically employ a form of legal kidnapping. Wow. Wow. How about that? Legal kidnapping. They legally, at this school I'm at, the university, Adams State University, Colorado, they presented me a bill. It was fake, but it wasn't illegal. If I paid, they got the money. If they thought I had to leave the school because I didn't pay, that would have been legal. If I would have taken them to court and they said this is legal, then it would have became illegal. They would have had to admit, no, we were just kidding. That's the way legality works. The WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, WASP. Come on, look at all these things. They were around the world. All of them are closing down except a couple now that don't want to use that name anymore. They were a lot of troubled Christian teens, right? They're going to take care of it. It's Utah. It was Christians. They weren't helping the non-Christian people there, I don't think. The troubled teen industry, residential treatment centers, wilderness programs, boot camps, therapy, tough love. It's time to give them that tough love, a kickback against while the other socialists are saying we should give our children a timeout. We're going to give them tough love. Turn them over to these people who are going to hand us back. I'm staring at. How long has that been there? What is my thing doing on there? I guess I'm rattling on like everything is working, but it looks like it is. So anyway, we've got the troubled teens, child abuse, institutional corruption, death. They accept young people who have considered to have struggles by their parents because they didn't respond to the pills. They have learning disabilities, emotional regulation. Remember, Christians and the Bible teach train up a child in the way they should go. Now, Satan knows that if they can control the public schools, the Montessori, the homeschools, the Trinity world, and train them up in a way they should go, why wouldn't they be happy with where the world is right now? Since 2014, people have been buying into Donald Trump as a QAnon messenger fighting the higher powers against the pedophile elite. Really? Really? Is that a new word on me there? Bonacera. It is good to see you. I think that's what I'm responding to. The troubled teen industry. The thing is, these things are expensive, man. Tough love, like Shannon, is another one that failed in the 68s. They turned into a right wing militia. There's the Casa del Mar. It was why are we looking at Shannon? No, they were a big part of the troubled teen. Starting in 1958, Shannon techniques later inspired the WASP, an umbrella organization that sexually abused and tortured troubled Christians, Mormons, or whatever, child abuse for a long time. The Teen Escort Company. I want to make sure I have that up. I did not. Oh, we need to look at that. Youth transport firm, part of a series on kidnapping. They say it right here with a footnote. Gooning is clearly the wrong choice for our children from 2014. Well, yeah, whatever gooning is, I'm probably against it. Abducting sleeping teenagers and forcing them into a vehicle. That's with their parents' permission. commission and permission, resulting in permanent trauma. Oh, for the weak-minded, maybe, but a tough guy is going to go, I'm going to suck it up and become a Trinitarian boot camp survivor. They take them to these places. You got to have a special license. Is there any sort of oversight? Behavior modification programs. They're going to turn you in to a human Pavlov dog. Services are expensive. Many teen escort companies do not have any training, background requirements for prospective employees, but they do have to watch a few videos, I'm sure. Again, with the repetition of the AI. So it's a plan. They're training up your children in the way it should go. Tough love, straight, incorporated, called kids. North Star Wilderness Boot Camp and Worldwide Associate, okay, WASP. He discussed the background, history, methodology of the troubled teen industry, including techniques drawn from the attack therapy of Shannon. Let the music play. So somebody wrote a book about it. Parents and hurt kids, good intentions, tough love, behavioral modification. They don't need a timeout. They need to have the rod not spared go boom on their butt and say, what I tell you about touching a hot stove? What did I tell you about touching a hot stove? Oh, I did look them up. Anyway, Chuck got in trouble. Everything was new, so they were throwing money at this. A new religious movement, uh, different from alcoholic, where they yelled at each other. It was weird. It backfired. Let's get to the scripture. I want to read these. There is a grievous evil that I have seen under the sun. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 13 starts. It continues. Riches were kept by their owner to his own hurt. It's kind of like that. Oh man, I'm going to sit on it in case I need it. It might be compared to putting your talent in a handkerchief and burying it in the sand. You're saving up something for a shootout with the world. You're not going to take a go bag. You're going to stay there and fight, and you've got all this ammo, wealth beyond compare. Oh, man. Wealth lost in a venture. So when that man has a son, there's nothing to pass on except your good name and a good work ethic and a habit of staying away from the 5G and people who want to cook and eat your children. Rejoice, be merry, both in Ecclesiastes 1 and chapter 5, where we were. I want to read this one here. Well, I want to read it. Maybe we'll look up some words. I wanted to know how you enjoy life. Everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and the power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil. This is the gift of God. It's his toil, wealth, riches, power, labor. Well, that's two again. Trouble, persevere, all my toil, fruit of my labor, wearisome nights. You know, The Moabite women that Esau married, the Bible just throws in a casual sentence that says, they made the life miserable for Jacob, for Isaac and Rachel. Eat, give power, and rejoice. I wanted to quick look at that. Rejoice, be merry. We can be happy, but we're not going to be happy knowing that we're living a lie. They've trained us. Moreover, I saw under the sun that in the place of justice, even there was wickedness, and in the place of righteousness, even there was wickedness, because people were there. The spirit can be willing, the flesh is weak. It's a constant battle to stay hold of that plow and be faithful until the end. We are, most of us, I would assume, not born of the incubator type thing or whatever they got going with that clone. So we can't consider, what happens to the children of men. We're a part of that. What happens to the beasts, the cattle, is the same. As one dies, so dies another. They all have the same pneuma. This doesn't mean that they all breathe. A man has no advantage over the beast, for all is vanity. I could be wrong. It's not like I've never been wrong. Vanity over the animal. So it's not cattle. It is and the breath of one is the breath of the other. Ruah! Hey, you. What? It's a wind. Nobody knows where it comes from or where it's going, but it's circling around and they're going to hit you back of the head. Hey, wake up. How about that? I feel like we're learning something today. I feel like I am. I mean, I feel like we're being prepared for something today. What profit hath he, the worker? What profit? Gain. That's what it means. Not illegal gain, not confiscatory, jealous, hoarding type gain in life. I've got a better life now. My wife is happier. I I am so good at the whole tracking the elk or whatever, you know, something really like that. Here's another one. Ecclesiastes 3:13. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. That doggone toil. Okay, well, that's the work. That's the labor. That's the good. It's just another form of it. Wait, mischief? Well, it's mostly labor. Wonder why this one says mischief. Doesn't it seem funny? It's in verse 16, so we'll try to get a little context. He makes a pit, digging it out, and falls into the hole that he has made. His work returns upon his head, and on his skull his violence descends. Well, this man's work, his toil, his gain was going to be probably, he's going to rob somebody. It sounds like, wicked men conceiving evil. Uh, I think we're going to have to look at it that way. Okay, so here's this other word, the cattle that has that pneuma, ruah, spirit. I'm confusing you with the Greek and the ruah, spirit. Cattle, cattle, cattle. Beast, beast cattle. 190 out of 929. Okay, so after their kind. And so they got their pneuma. And from the very beginning. That's interesting. I wish I had more to go along with it, but that's important enough for now. Okay, do stones, Numa? One of these stones, out of these stones, you can raise up descendants to Abraham? Stones are weird. Look at stones, his first onyx stone, Genesis 2. God, there were stones in the first creation. It is. It's the Freemason. It's the stone. It's the very going back to the beginning. It's not a charm. It's not the actual plumb bob. It's not the jeweler, or I don't know. What are they trying to say? A hand missile? Could yeah. Mommy, Johnny threw a rock at it. Almost killed me by hitting me in the head. There's this one part about gather stones, and when you make a altar, don't hew the stones. Don't hew the stones. The stones are the body parts of the Titans. There's something to it. This verse, a time to cast away stone, a time to gather those stones, those mysteries, a time to embrace and a time to, hey, I don't got, okay, let's break away. I can't be hugging all day. Huh. So much to do that God has a time for, to be trained for. I'm not going to let this go that my teacher didn't believe the United Nations and the Freemasons and the way things worked out in history with only Freemasons in power. Well, I'm not going to let it go. I think that these guys did it. These were, let me go back up to the top. I read, looks like I got that. Strange inheritance, a European import. If you were going to be in charge in one of the countries during and after their genocides, you were going to be tacitly introduced into the Freemasonry. You're not going to go all the way up the ranks, but you're going to be used. You're going to be one of those people who amazingly, voluntarily stood there and said, what? Roll up your pant leg. Oh, okay. Unbutton your shirt. Untuck it. Now I'm going to put a knife to your throat. Take a death vow. And that's what they admit to. Okay. Somebody did that and then they were put in charge. And we act like the history and the tough love and the freedom camps, that we weren't trained in the way they have everybody who lined up 6 feet apart to check out at the Walmart, the big lot. Now those days are over, so we might as well use Amazon. The woman power. It's always coming down to Freemasons let the women into their parlors and salons, coffee houses, because they were not doing the whole Christian thing. They were looking for loopholes. Another Freemason, Sam Doe, took over a country as a staff sergeant, a master sergeant, non-commissioned officer of Libya before Gaddafi. Suspended the Constitution. He was a Mason. I think he ended up joining the Masons. It's amazing how, you can start at the bottom and work your way up. He did. Unlike Colonel Gaddafi, Master Sergeant Doe promoted himself to general, which seems like it would be the natural thing to do. Too much, too much information, huh? Here's another Freemason. He ended up the president too. Best known as a chief advisor to presidents on African affairs. French policy, Charles de Gaulle christened him Mr. Africa. He would have had to have been a Freemason, right? Everybody get behind me. The white people deal with me. We are moving forward slowly but surely. Uh, Anyway, he's on the list of that people that were Freemasons. I guess there are a couple of different lodges fighting right now, but back in the day it wasn't that. Let's see. Put in charge a new Ministry of Overseas Department and Territories. These countries think they are as important as the United States or close to it. As hard as that is to believe, because we're a worldwide thing. There's another one. He's on the list of Freemasons, diplomat. So I just pulled them up just to show you that everyone who's anyone in Africa, South America, were propped up like Ferdinand. He's on the list. He's a Freemason. I don't know if it's going to, they don't say it here. Okay, well, they don't on all of them, but usually they're on the list. They weren't going to be put in power. This is not a coincidence. You got to quit thinking like that. Here's another one. He's the Freemason, and he might even got it. Some of them get in trouble. Let's see it. 1961, he was 18. Joined a French student organization of Toulouse, and that is where they have that, you know, can dancing and stuff like that. Youth for Progress, sure. Eddie probably got messed up with the government. They started propping him up money. They were all friends in the Freemasons. He's on the list. They did it. All these guys in power are the same. They're Freemasons. Another Freemason from Morocco. Anywhere France, anywhere South Africa, anywhere Central Africa, anywhere in Africa is what I meant to say. The people in charge are Freemasons, and the people that aren't in charge are cattle. We've been trained to accept it. We'll go to the parades. We won't, if you're somewhat different, you won't teach your kids about Santa Claus, but you're still teaching them okay, well, this group needs to teach them there's this. So is this the article that I got all of the names for the Freemasons? Because this was a pro Freemason thing. Like, where would we be? Here's the French Freemason type in Africa who's going like, why are these guys still considered Freemasons? Why are they still going to the meeting? Why are we holding them up? They should be considered mass murderers. This is what a common low level somebody who's proud to be a Freemason is saying. That's where I got these names of the people that are famous Freemasons. Well, I guess I expected you to read that by yourself. This is the question we pose to French persuasions. Do not hesitate to go there to recognize as such leaders who seem free of Masonic values, or are they upholding them to their highest point? Realizing you have to break some eggs to make an omelet. Unless there are some other personal links which unite the grand masters of them, these are friendships that are difficult to justify in the eyes of the people massacred and those who love them, and the Freemasons who are going like, wait a minute, why is this okay? Uh, this guy knows a lot of Freemasons, and none of them would have done it. They did it. All these guys did it. They're Freemasons. Who? Pascal? Who? Another Freemason. Brazzaville, agronometry. They're propped up. They're so smart. They send them to the right schools. They are members of the correct lodge from the very beginning, and they stay in power decades. Here's another one. Congo. it, maybe he is a great speaker, like the former President Obama, uh, or he's a prop up that can read. And then after the speech, people will say that was the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Here's another one. Going back, died in 1893, abolition of slavery, because you don't need distinct classes. You need everyone to be a slave. That's the problem. French, Bourbon, Bourbon. I'm thinking of Ron Burgundy, but that's not bourbon. Muslim slaves. This is all lies about covering up for other Freemasons that lied to you so they could get you to teach your children about Santa Claus, but not to worry if you didn't want to go down that route because of the Bible. They can pervert the Bible and make your kids end up in a tough love concentration camp going like, what's the difference between one God and three persons that my parents don't understand? And then they'll be beat or tortured or brought into a sexual loop of some sort of where now it's like a certain percentage of them start going and raping other kids after they've been raped. They think that's going to make it better or something. I don't know. But anyway, they cost them billions in the Catholic Church. So this is another one of these guys that started that whole Freemason thing. You know, he didn't like Apostle Paul. I'm going to guarantee that. He didn't like Jesus Christ. Union of the Three Orders. Okay. Are we getting close? There was an estate general, a union of the three Freemasons. And remember, do you or are you not a whole part of this? Like, wow, a veil's been lifted. It's short season. The stones are crying out. Jesus said he was coming back then. The added 1,000 years, 290, 335, take it back from 9/11 to 1711, and boom, within 30 years, the people, us, the orphan trained brained staggering fugitives is what the remnant of the catastrophe after the 1,000 years after Armageddon. Remember, the Bible teaches it was put in your sickle and reap, and it was another catastrophe in 1711. And by 1720, we're I just got to the estate general from this guy. I'm a French Catholic and I got a new way of reading the Bible, and we should all vote in slavery. Everybody will be happy. Yeah, let's get the three within half a generation. They're meeting in mud flooded buildings to say, from now on, we are in charge. Here are the royal people. Everybody that's not here owes us money, and we're going to set up governments and start selling heroin to those people in China who just moved into buildings that are equally as magnificent as ours. Nobody. These are fake years. If you're seeing these kings brought in the 300s, remember that was the golden age of Christ. The Freemasons are rewriting history to make it stupid. Make it stupid. Here, this guy, another Freemason, across. Look, we're going to need somebody to act like they do not believe in the Trinity, but you're going to have to be crazy, man. Kill everybody, man. No problem. What's in it for us? Uh, Riches beyond your compare in this world. So they got that figured out. Islam, there's no Islam. There was no Islam. There, Muhammad cannot pass the zeitgeist test. Like when he was born, how did he die? Where did he live? Where was Mecca on the map? And, all questions that have never been answered and never will be. Really, it's hard to believe that this guy He's on the list. Freemasons. He took the time off somewhere along Trinity, told him, roll up your pant leg and untuck your shirt, you dumbass. Okay. Uh, what's in it for me? Algeria. Another one. This guy, Africa. First black French man to obtain a high post. I wonder how he got there. First black person buried at the Pantheon. Well, I guess he helped subdue Africa. What is Africa? Three times the size of the United States. It's huge. Their Mercator map, it skews your mind. It makes you think. He considered himself a socialist and a Freemason. And he couldn't be more happy with these three estates that were established in what was that, 1820 or something. Felix, you worked your way up. Look at that. It's like looking in a mirror. A bald guy with a puffy mustache. Hey, Jules, what's up? Oh, you joined the French Freemasons, and so you got in charge of everything. Oh. He got forced to resign following a war. Oh, no. Hey, I suppose he had to say sorry. Opportunist Republicans. That's a great name. That is a great name. Active Freemason, and you're going to be in charge, little man. Same day he got admitted the same day as Mr. Sourpuss here, the French lexicographer, Freemason, and philosopher, best known for writing a dictionary with the complete French language. So they claim. Anyway, let's look lodges. What is it? What is the big difference? We don't have time to go over all the lodges. Lodges of Freemasons in Africa. Maybe there's a lot. Women only. Yeah, I don't even have time to get into that. If you think women are better than men, well, you've been trained well by the Freemasons. We are equally sinners. I'm kind of wanting to see. I thought I didn't look at this, but I thought they would show me the actual lodges and just say, here's the big Grand Lodge of Ireland, and look at some of them because they occupied all those buildings. Guess that's not going to happen. So I did have one more thing. The United Nations is the guardian of international security. Respect for the obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law. It's all falling apart right now. Did they cause the weather? Did you notice that even on Thanksgiving yesterday, the chemtrails were still up there? They still had people working. Donald Trump is not pursuing anything comprehensively. Uh, this is not going to work out. This is a judgment. Here's my algorithm. I wonder if we're going to get any live news about airport being like, I can't believe it. This is crazy. Well, we got a Black Friday alert. I don't see anything about the airport shutting down because of storms, so I guess that's not going to happen. Got some community announcements going. Brian Coleman is going live. He's going to talk about, the lies of the Mikey McCoy story. It's always going to be there for you. There's always going to be something else, except that introspective look inside yourself to say, how have I been trained? How did I train my children? When John the Baptist went to the people that thought they were the most religious people in the world because everybody else was running to their faith, the Hebrew faith, the sacrifices, because the Babylonians, the Medes, and the Persians, some explicitly taught in the Bible, their greatest kings were convinced of it by prophets like Daniel, by marriage, Esther. Persian king loved her and wouldn't kill the Jews and said, we should worship them and help them. So everybody got into it, except them. And right now, Christians, we have the answer, except we're holding on to what, like the people that accused Jesus of not knowing, of breaking God's law because he didn't follow the traditions of men and did the right thing on the Sabbath. They told the creator of the universe to his face, you're not doing it right. We could stone you because you healed a man on the Sabbath and other ridiculous things. And how long will we not discuss the Trinity? How long will we not discuss what the Bible clearly teaches, and that this is the time for separation? There never has been a generation that I can tell who's beat their swords into plowshares and said, you know what, I'm running away. I want to go away where my toil, my gain, 100% of it is going for my family, my village, and my God. All my effort is for one thing, that. There's a law written on our heart that is our king. And our conscience and our heart and the word of God bears witnesses. We know we're doing the right thing. We're at that crossroad right now, this weekend. There's not a weather warning that I just pulled up now, but there will be. You know, people that are going to be impacted by, I can't believe I missed my flight. Really? Where do you live? It can't be on a flat earth nation with the golden age past. You obviously don't know the mud flood was the Armageddon. It was. They added 1,000 years. Now they messed with history and they messed with your mind. Me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else. Why would we? We know we're called, chosen, predestined, and elected. And we know that we've been saved by grace and called to do good works that glorify his name, given talents to accomplish some of what we can visualize in that way, and judged if we don't live up to our talents and our soil. God knows how many talents he gave you. You try to hand him back those talents and say, hey, no good. It's not going to work. You will toil. The question is for who? Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakaman. Adios, amigos. That's how we say goodbye on the border of Colorado, New Mexico.